Hello and welcome to another lovely edition of the program Teaching and Learning on Radio. Teaching and Learning on Radio is a program that comes your way every weekday on Prestige FM and some other radio stations. And it's brought to you by the Ministry of Education right here in Niger State. We have lots of subjects that we treat every week, every day of the week. We always try to see how we can give the students at home another opportunity to learn while they are home. You know, the pandemic is everywhere. The coronavirus pandemic is everywhere. And so the shutdown and the closure of schools and companies actually made the students are at home right now. Those preparing for WAEC, NECO, and other examinations, I think it's an opportunity for them to stay at home and learn while listening to radio. The teachers, the facilitators will be right here in the studio with us. They will tell us about a particular subject. They look at a subject and a topic, and the phone line will be open for you to actually call in or probably send a message and ask your questions, and you will definitely learn something. So, well, it's for students at home, and it's brought to you by the Ministry of Education right here in Niger State. Teaching and Learning on Radio. Teaching and Learning on Radio it is. Well, today we have lots of things to learn, and we have our facilitator in the studio. You're welcome.
Good day, listeners at home. This is yet another day and another program in your educational program, Teaching and Learning at Home. We are going to talk on the subject matter, basic technology. And we have a topic we'll treat today, metal. Our objective for this lesson is to try and make the students be able to identify what a metal is, how metal is produced, what the raw materials of metals are, or where metal is gotten from, what are the different types of metals, and we'll also see the general classes of metal, and we will also take a journey into the uses of metals and the methods of processing these metals. Generally, metal is a solid that can be malleable. It has physical properties. That is, it can be malleable, it can be ductile, etc. And it has also electrical properties and magnetic properties. So if we are to define metal, we say that metal typically is a material that is ductile, is malleable, is having electrical properties as well as magnetic properties. That means it can conduct electricity and it can also be magnetized by a magnet. Now, since we have seen what metal is, where do we get these metals? Do metals just fall from the sky, or metals are there with us every day at our beckoning? No. Metals are gotten from beneath the earth's surface. They are not a material you can just get at your beck and call. There are ways and means that these metals can be gotten, and they have to dig deep into the ground, and they are gotten in a rocky format known as ores. Now, when you get these metal ores or rock ores, which are iron ores now, you had to pass through some processes, because these rocky ores are mixed or are entwined with so many impurities which are non-metallic. So for you to be able to separate the metal from the residue of non-metallic materials, you must have to undergo a process. And that takes us to the issue of metal production. When iron ores are dug from the ground, there are processes we undertake to be able to bring these iron ores to the exact type of iron or metal we require for any of our usages. Now, I've been talking about metal. I know many of you who are hearing me at home will be wondering, what is a metal? Some of us might have seen metals. Some of us might have seen, but they don't even recognize what a metal is. Some of us will call it iron. We just say iron. We have iron benders, we have people who are working in metal works. If you check around your house, these metals abound. In the chairs you sit on, you will see them with metal frames. In your windows, your doors, the cups you use to drink water, the spoons, the plates that you use in eating your food, the pot you use to cook, the stove that are used in cooking your food are all made of varying types of metals. So when you look around you, you are surrounded by metals, or what I will call products of metals. That is why in this our learning today, basic technology takes you into a situation or a knowledge that is put into practical application. Not a knowledge that you will know and just keep within yourself. But basic technology is a knowledge that produces what you are thinking. And in the production of anything, the materials must have to be available. The materials must have to be gotten. And that is why we are taking a journey into the knowledge of this metal today. So in the production of metal, there are different processes. As I earlier said, metals are gotten from iron ores. And these iron ores are gotten from rocks that are dug from under the ground. One of the ways is to take these iron ores, put them in a blast furnace. I know many of us might be hearing this word blast furnace and we might not know what it is, but some of us, we do cook at home using, or we bake small cakes and bread at home using electric ovens. They are heat generating appliances. A furnace is a special type of oven that is built to produce a very high amount of heat energy. Now, when these iron ores are taken in their rocky form and put in a furnace, they in turn will melt, and after being melted, the metal ore, the molten metal, will be separated from the residue, which is known as gangue. Now, this is one of the methods. It's just a direct distance, but it is not as simple as it looks. And so I will also visit another type of method of production of this metal. Now, when you get this your rocky metal, what you do is that you ground it. That means you turn it into powdery substance. You put it in a grinding mill, they ground it, and then you can take very giant magnets. As you roll the magnets over that ground, you will be able, the magnet will trap the metallic part of that rocky ore, leaving the non-metallic part because they are not magnetized. So that's the magnetic extraction of this metal. And then for further purification, you now put it inside the oven and it will be melted, and maybe additives of carbon is added into it, and steel, or what we call the shiny type of solid metal that we use in our homes, either for plates or for chairs, is produced. Now, these are the two methods that I am discussing here in the production of metal. Now, this metal in its purest state, has gotten from the production or from the action that is undertaken in using the oven or the kiln is not having very good physical properties. It is soft, and there are certain properties that it lacks. So what do we do to form a more durable, more strong, and more effective metal? We have to combine this metal with other materials. Now, this brings us to the production of the types of metals. Let's take steel, for example. Metal in its purest form, or pure iron, when added with steel, would give it an extra strengthening property. The property of the iron there, the pure iron, is enhanced by the introduction of carbon, or we call it coke. When you introduce it, this carbon is a extract of a refined this carbon coke is an extract of a refined charcoal. This, when you heat coal and remove the impurities, what is left is known as carbon or coke. Now when you add that coke to a pure metal that is gotten from the blast furnace, you will have what we call steel. And in this junction, I will want you to understand that the different level of addition of this carbon compound or coke give rise to the different types of steel metal that we have. They are mixed in certain proportions that for you to get different types of these steel, when you want a low carbon steel, the proportion of the metal that is joined to that of carbon, the carbon proportion there is just 0.1 to 0.3%. You get low carbon steels, and those ones are used in making screws, structural steels, nails, etc. Another type is the medium carbon steel. The medium carbon steel is gotten from a mixture of carbon in the ratio of 0.3 to 0.6%. When you add it to the pure iron, it gives it a certain acceptable or required property. And these ones are used in mostly bearings. It is those who are mechanics or those who are working with automobiles will know what I'm talking about, bearing. Some of us in our younger days, we used to call them boris. They will say boris. Children will also use them to make small trolleys to play with as their own cars. Now those are what we use these medium carbon steels for. And another type is a high carbon steel, and that is in the region of the addition of carbon to from 0.6 to about 0.9%. That gives us the type of irons that are used for punches, hammers, saws, screwdrivers, etc. Now, another type is the top or tool steel. This tool steel takes a mixture of carbon of about 0.9 to 1.4%, and they are used for axles. I know some of us that have cars, they will tell you your rear axle, your front axle is having problem. Now those types are used for making those type of equipment that we use in our day-to-day life. We have they are used also for knives. Some of us in our homes, you see very shiny, bright knives that our mothers use in the kitchen. So those are all what we use. We have them in files, etc., and drills. Now the last one I'll be talking about is the cast iron. Is the cast iron, or second to the last. The cast iron has a percentage mixture of carbon in it. That is, the carbon is added to the pure metal in the ratio of 2.5 to 3.9%. So when you add carbon of a ratio of 2.5 to 3.9% to that pure metal, you get cast iron. And these are used in automobile cylinders and the rest. Then we have the wrought steel, which is about 3.9 to 4.3, and they are used in welding, nails, fittings, and barbed wires. Now we have seen what steel is, and we've seen that steel is added, or iron in its pure form has to be added to another metal or another type of element to produce a desired effect that is required, or to give a certain property that is required. Now, when you add metal to any other type of material or element, that type of metal produced is known as an alloy. It brings us now to what an alloy is. An alloy is a combination of two or more metals mixed in certain or required proportions to give the advantages of those two metals to the one single fusioned metal that has been produced. Or, on the other hand, is a combination of metal and another element which is non-metallic. Like I told you about carbon, silicon, magnesium, etc. They too makes the iron to take a certain quality that is desired of that metal to have. So you can see the ferrous metal, the alloys are a mixture of either two metals or more, or a mixture of metal and another chemical compound which gives rise to a required type of metallic material that is needed. Now, since we have seen what steel and alloy are, and we've seen how metals are produced, what are the general classes of metals? So metals are also classified into two major groups: ferrous and non-ferrous metals. Now, ferrous metals are those metals that basically are made up of a higher percentage constituent of the iron itself, or the pure iron. Non-ferrous metals are those ones that do not have are made of other metals which have a higher percentage of other metals, like when you join magnesium and tin, or you join copper and tin, or copper and zinc to produce other metals. You will see that here the pure metal itself is absent. So those are non-ferrous metals, metals that do not contain pure iron in a high degree, or even completely absent. So we have so many uses of these metals. We use them in production of equipment, utensils, production of automobile, in aeroplane production, etc. And these are part of the uses of alloys, depending on the different type of materials that we have produced. The method of processing, definitely, even when metal is produced, you need to process it. You just don't take a metal as a bulky object and you give rise. It has to be processed into different uses. So, but I will speak briefly about two. And this is forming. Forming is a method of using heat and the application of force. When you go to the blacksmith, you see them, they will heat the metal and they will forge it. Heat, bang, 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 into different shapes and sizes. That is one of the methods. And then casting. Casting is a method of using a pre-arranged kind of form, whereby you melt this metal and you pour into that form, and then after it cools down, you now use the metal. You break whatever form that you have made and remove the metal that is formed. You shine it or whatsoever. So there are other processes, but those are the two basic type of processes in using metal. Now you have seen it. You have seen in summary, metals are defined as materials that are strong, they are solid, they have malleability, they have ductility and electrical properties. They are gotten as a raw materials from iron ore. Their production is done in different formats depending on whatever choice you have made, like the two examples I gave. And then steel is formed from the addition of pure metal with carbon, while alloys are made from other additives and other metals. Now, non-ferrous, I just finished speaking about them, and ferrous metals, which are metals that contain a high degree of pure metal, and then non-ferrous metals are those that do not have the high degree of metals, or metals that are not pure. Now, if you want any other information, or you are on WhatsApp and you want to join us even before this lesson comes around again, you can do so on this number 09029282040. Again, I'll repeat the number 09029282040. And I'll leave you with this assignment as I round up. Please name two types of ferrous metals you know and non-ferrous metals, and tell me where they are used. When next time I come, we will talk about it. Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation by our facilitator. He taught us a whole lot, and I learned as well, so I believe you've learned something this lovely edition of the program, Teaching and Learning on Radio. Well, join us again next time, that's tomorrow. Join us again and for another lovely edition of the program. You never can tell the subjects coming up, so just be on the lookout. And children out there, and not just children, parents, I urge you to encourage your children to listen to the program. As they stay at home, they learn as well. All right, thank you so much for watching and listening. Bye-bye.